Games like Factorio is not that difficult to recommend, but it also kinda is. The difficulty of games like that is in its complexity, the thing that people love it for. But what if I tell you that there is a factory automation game that is kinda not factory automation game as well, which will be a perfect introduction for you in that genre without overwhelming you and giving you fun time most of all. This is what RIFTBREAKER is. And if you are here to just get an answer whether this game is worth getting or not, the answer is yes. This game is a really good mix of factory automation and RTS and combat game, and even though it's not perfect, it's good enough for most people. So if you want to try it, just go ahead and try it, especially with the co-op updates. But this game requires explanation because it's far more than that. And of course, if you will decide to get this game, it's better to get it for as cheap as possible. That's where the sponsor of this video will help you. And this video is sponsored by channel's partner and supporter, Instant Gaming. If you want the best games for the best prices, no matter whether it's a big sale or not, Instant Gaming is the way to go. No matter which console you're playing on, and no matter what time of the year it is, Instant Gaming has the best deals for you. And prices can sometimes be really cheap. So much so that you would not even believe them. But trust me, they are real. So check out the Instant Gaming through my link in the description down below. And don't forget to check out that the giveaway is still up, because you might actually win any game of your choice. Yes, any game. Now back to the video. I need to actually explain what is RIFTBREAKER. RIFTBREAKER is a mix of a bunch of different genres. It's a mix of RTS, factory automation, exploration, combat, and a bunch of other things. And I compared it to Factorio because technically it plays quite a lot like Factorio. You control your central unit. In this case, it's basically a giant robot with a human inside. And the game has a story as well, which is really fun too. And this communication between you, the character, and the robot where you sit in, the AI, is very reminiscent of what we had in Titanfall 2, and I really enjoyed that. And your goal is to actually colonize and to use up resources of a certain planet, and to do so you need to understand what this planet is all about. That's the basic story of the game. And when you land on a planet, of course, you will land in a tropical zone which is full of a bunch of creatures that will try to attack you, try to stop you, and attack you from time to time. And your goal is to gather resources in order to unlock the Rift Gate. Rift Gate is basically this giant Rift Gate which allows other people to basically enter, which basically will establish the permanent communication with Earth technically. But yeah, that's a bit of spoiler territory, so yeah. And what you need to do is you need to progress and unlock more and more buildings. So you're building everything around, automating your factories, generating power, gathering resources, repelling enemy attacks, and researching more things, unlocking new weapons, equipping these weapons, etc, etc. That's what basic gameplay loop is. And even though it will sound a bit complex, it's really not. It's quite easy and simple to understand what this game is all about. You will really understand this in a few minutes, and game is doing a really good job at explaining what everything around you is. And you are on a very limited map. You are not on an infinite, very large map. And if I'm not wrong, I'm not sure exactly, but I think every single map is procedurally generated, so every single map will be different. What will be the same is that you will start in the same zone, tropical zone. And the tropical zone is full of a bunch of forests, which you can actually use up as a fuel, a bunch of different animals as well, not just enemies. And even though it did not seem like that at first, it is very reminiscent of what Factorio is, but at a very rudimentary level. The world itself is not infinite, even though technically in Factorio the world is not infinite, but it's very big. But here the world is, well, quite finite. You can actually easily access the different points of this map. You can easily build the rift gates, which do not require any energy as well, so you can jump around between different spots and repel enemy attacks from a bunch of different places and build a bunch of different bases. But what I like about this game, that eventually you will unlock ability to travel to different maps. So you don't have a single map, you have a bunch of different maps, and the story will actually take you to different maps because you require the resources from this different territory. Like for example, one of the main resources, cobalt, which is an early game resource, is in a very limited quantity on the base map, like very limited quantity. And other resources, like for example uranium, is not there at all. So you will need to get to different points and different places in order to get those resources. And those different points are basically different biomes. Like for example, there's a desert biome, and there is a bunch of uranium and other resources. There's also fire biome, which you will need to find a special trees that are basically cryo trees, which otherwise you will just burn up really quick. And each and every territory, each and every map has their own kind of gimmick that you're unlocked. And eventually you will get resources that you will get tech to basically protect yourself from these environmental hazards, like for example from high temperatures, from radiation, etc, etc. And what you will do is actually set up a permanent bases there to gather the resources. And the funny thing is that you don't need to establish a permanent base there at all. Eventually, closer to the mid game, you will actually unlock ability to find a specific type of maps. Like you can actually set up how big this map you want to be, or how dense or how dangerous this maps you want to be, and you can just simply travel there, walk around, and just clear out the territory, gather all the resources that you want, and then get the hell out of there. You don't even need to establish a permanent base there. But if you will leave the place, you will never be able to get back. So basically, the seed will be deleted, and you will need to get to the other places like that. And this traveling and jumping from these different biomes and sending the resources from this biome to a central hub is what the game is all about. And doesn't sound familiar? It feels and sounds like Factorio and Satisfactory. You're basically gathering all the resources from different points in a map, in this case from different points on the planet and different biomes, and you're gathering all of this just to funnel everything in one place to go towards the final goal. And there is a story behind that as well, with aliens and stuff like that, which is actually quite cool and really good to have, unlike the games like Satisfactory and Factorio and Dyson Sphere program, where we don't have a history at all, or we do have, but it's very rudimentary. Here it's quite complex, it's quite deep, and game will keep you busy for a really long time. You have a lot of things to do. There's a lot of combat, and the combat wise you actually have ability to get a bunch of different weapons. You have 2 arms basically on your robot, and each arm can equip 3 different weapons. It can be range weapons or melee weapons, or whatever the combination that you want to do. Like for example, you can have a blaster in one hand, which you will be using energy instead of ammo, and you can have a sword or hammer or spear in other, and just to shoot everyone on a distance and just attack everyone who will come way too close to you. And those weapons are kind of overpowered. They're quite powerful, but you will feel overwhelmed quite a lot of times because there are a lot of enemies attacking you at all times, and because the enemies will be attacking from a bunch of different spots until you will set up a really good defenses on your base, until you have the logistics for this base, because you will require logistics, like for example energy. You will need a constant supply of energy, and energy is not in really high supply here because you have renewable energy like wind and solar, and they can go out really quickly from the in-game events. Like you can have a solar eclipse, or you can have a dust storm, which will hinder the working of the solar energy, and the wind can just die down and just completely destroy your wind energy. The other energy sources, like for example thermal, geothermal, or the fuel, are more reliable, but they will also require quite a lot of maintenance, and there are not a lot of those on the maps. So you will constantly need to do something without actually grinding way too much. You will constantly go and grind for the resources to research, because there are bunch of things to research, and bunch of research trees as well, which I really enjoyed. And those research trees will include different new buildings, different new weapons, abilities, different resources, and you will unlock them all one by one. And depending on how many research buildings you have, the research will take the less time, and research buildings will require a lot of energy as well. So sometimes you will need to just shut them down in order to maintain whatever is happening in the game. The weapons will also require ammo, so you will need to build an ammo depot to supply those turrets and sentries with ammo. You also have a limited ability with those sentries, because these towers require an AI, and you will need AI cores to maintain the high number of those sentries and towers, and AI cores will require a lot of energy as well. So you're basically juggling with a bunch of different things, focusing on one thing over another, and then back to the first thing, and then back to the second thing. And this thing is not overwhelming, but it's really cool. And to be fair, even though at the beginning it feels like Factorio, a bit later it does not grip you that way. Factory must grow is not the main mentality here. Main mentality here is everyone around you must die. So if in Factorio the enemies are nuisance, here the enemies are your main goal. You need to destroy them all in order to be able to build more freely. And the game also has a bunch of DLCs as well. With these DLCs you also gain an ability to get to different biomes, like metal biomes and things like that. And they're not that expensive, especially in instant gaming. So it's good to have. And also with the 2.0 update, they fixed a bunch of different things that the players didn't like in the original release, and also added a co-op gameplay as well, so you can actually play with your friends too. All in all, is this game enjoyable? Yes, it is. And who is this game for? Well, I would suggest this game for everyone who wants to get into factory automation games, because this game is one of the most perfect introductions to factory automation games. Like factory games usually are a bit overwhelming for many people, especially if you're gonna start with Factorio. It's quite overwhelming. Even though it's quite gripping, it's a bit overwhelming. So this is basically a perfect Factorio light game. Even though many people will say the Satisfactory is basically Factorio light, the Satisfactory at higher levels will become a bit more challenging. This one, not so much. The combat is becoming more challenging, but the resource management is not that much. Still, the game's main focus is combat rather than resource management. And even though game's original full price is $30, you can easily get this at around $15 on sales or an instant game, with just a few more bucks for the DLCs. I would not suggest suggest you to go immediately for the DLCs, but if you can, it won't harm you as well. Because if you'll get the game with the DLCs, you will basically not need to play game again when you will get the DLC. This is not an infinite game unlike Factorio and Satisfactory, all the factory animations games are. This is mainly one and done game. So if you enjoy what you saw and what you heard about this game, it's better to get it with DLCs. Not necessary, but better. And if you are interested in factory animations games, and if you especially in Factorio, actually I have an entire video about Factorio right here. And if you want a comparison between Factorio, Satisfactory, Destined Sphere Program, the big three, what I call, you can watch the entire video about that right here as well. Don't forget to subscribe right here as well. This is for today, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Take care.